Hey everyone, welcome back to M&M IELTS. This is Manmohit. Now, guys, in today's one, I am going to share with you all a master study plan if you are someone who's aiming for IELTS Band 8. So, I have pretty much crafted a Band 8 proper study plan from the start all the way up to leading to your exam day. Follow this step by step, and I can assure you, you can also be the one to get that magical Band 8 that many of the students are after. And I would be breaking it down into all the four modules as to what needs to be done for listening, what needs to be done for reading, speaking, and writing. So make sure you watch this video up until the end and take some good notes, rewind this video, and understand what needs to be done for every single module so that you can also be the one to get that band aid. Without wasting any further ado, let's dive right into it. Now, first thing first, what we have to make sure is understanding the test format. That's when you start with anything in your life, you first have to have a roadmap for that, as in a GPS for that, and understanding what exactly is needed in the IELTS exam. So I consider if you are someone who is a beginner, first of all, you just have to understand what this format is, like what is actually going to happen on the exam day, what is actually going to happen in the syllabus for this particular exam. So we know there are four modules: listening, writing, reading, and speaking. And every single module has got a certain set of questions, certain types of questions that are there. For example, in writing, we do have either bar graphs, pie charts, diagrams, all those things that can happen in our part one. And then we have got writing essay in the part two. And if you are doing IELTS general, then you would have essay is going to be same, but in your part one, you would be having a letter. And then if it's listening, there's different set of questions. Reading, there could be multiple choice, true, false, not given. All these different types of questions are there. If you just go to our YouTube channel and just go all the way to the end, as in all the way to the beginning, we have got a video on every single topic that can be tested in the IELTS exam. So feel free to watch through the entire playlist to understand every single topic in depth, in proper detail. So first step is to understand what the test format is going to be, as in how many questions you would get, how many questions you have to get right in order to get that band aid that you're aiming for, all those things. Just to give you a bit of an example for listening, you get 40 questions and you have to get 40 on 40 to get a perfect band 9, 39 out of 40 to get 8.5, and 38 out of 40 to get that band 8. So the chances of error are quite low, but this would be different if you do reading or as a matter of fact, any other module. So first, just understand what the test format is going to be all about. Next thing, once you know, okay, this is what the format is going to be, you have to set some realistic goals and a proper timeline. I do recommend students who are aiming for a band aid from the start, from scratch. You should be giving it about 2 to 3 months for the complete preparation. I have seen students, they do not know anything about IELTS, but then they just plan on giving the IELTS exam after 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Guys, that is absolutely not going to be enough time. I can tell you that right now. Based on your English level, you may be able to get 7, 7.5, that's fine. But getting a band 8, specifically in reading and writing, is no joke. You actually have to put in that effort and practice that is needed for that. So set some realistic goals. Like if you say, I want to get a band 8 from scratch all the way up to end in 2 weeks' time, that is not happening. People can say what they want out there, but that is not happening. It's just not possible. You may end up getting that 8 band in listening, you may end up getting 8 bands in speaking, but writing and reading is where a lot of dedication, a lot of practice, proper guidance is needed. So set some good, realistic reality checks for yourself and then work accordingly. Next thing, and this is extremely important, and that is assessing your current level. So first you have to know where you currently are so that you can see, okay, how far am I from my goal of band 8. If you assess your current level, and how do you assess that? You just complete one full practice test for IELTS from the Cambridge books, whether it's IELTS general or IELTS academic, depending on which one are you going to give. Just do one full practice test, a scored one, so that you would exactly know as to where you currently stand. If you, let's say, after doing that complete practice test, if you end up getting that 6 band in each and you need 8 band, you know that, okay, it's going to be a bit of a work that you have to put in to get to that band 8. And if you, let's say, after doing that practice test, you were at 7 or 7.5 and you want to get 8, that means a bit of polishing and refining is needed. So in that case, I might take 1 to 2 months. And then from 6 to 8, I'll definitely be taking 2 to 3 months to actually give that proper time. And see, the reason I'm asking you to set those realistic goals is I do not want you to just go and give your exam just for the sake of giving and then be like, okay, I'll if I get it, I get it. If not, I'll book it again. Guys, it's not a cheap exam. You have to understand it's an expensive one. Plus, at the same time, the most crucial aspect is your time. There's no point giving exam 5 times, wasting that much money, and at the same time wasting that much of your time and then still being at the same point. I would rather not give that many exams, take my proper time, understand my plan, understand where I currently am, setting some realistic expectations, and then going and giving my exam. That's extremely important to understand where you currently are. Next, I'll be giving you the study plan by every section. So I'll be giving you what needs to be done for listening, for reading, for writing, and for speaking. So let's understand from the very first one, which is our listening. Listening, I always start with that because it's relatively easier as compared to the other sections that you have got in your IELTS exam. Now, listening, there's a couple of things that we have to do. Obviously, practicing regularly is going to be the key aspect. You can't just do 2 days listening and then do another couple of days for reading and then do listening after like a week. You will forget whatever you learned in the first 2 days. So you have to make sure you do less, but you do every single day. That's very important. And because it's a task of listening, you just have to make sure you do all these things. Just listen to some English stuff. The more you listen, the better your listening skills are going to be anyway. Listen to a few podcasts in English, listen to news channels in English, and listen to TED Talks, which are the most crucial part. Now, the best part about these three things is that you do not really have to stick with the topic which you're not even interested in. If you are someone who likes sports, listen to TED Talks, news, and podcasts which are related to sports topics. If you are someone who is more into science or nature or technology or any other aspect, any other topic, just listen to those things in those particular topics. There's so much variety of content that is available out there. So when you listen to something which is interesting to you, the topics which you are more interested in, you will be able to do that on a regular basis. So my point is just listen to the ones which you are more interested in. That way you can keep it regularly. And then for the practice, when you practice for your IELTS, so this would be just practicing regularly, just listening to the stuff. But when you sit for your IELTS practice, do not do any other irrelevant material. Only use your IELTS specific listening practice materials and past papers like Cambridge books. That are the best resources that are out there. Just focus on those. Focus on different accents. Obviously, you will get those audios from those books. Listen to different accents. Familiarize your brain with those accents so that when you end up going to your exam, doesn't matter what accent they speak, doesn't matter what speed they speak their answers and the audios in, you will never hesitate when solving the answers because your brain is already familiarized with different types of accents. And then in terms of techniques for the listening, and this applies with any topic that you get in the listening, you have to practice identifying key information and take notes while listening. Taking notes, extremely important. Whenever you get through any question, do not just try to retain and try to work on with your short-term memory. You may be able to retain 1 or 2 sentences, but if they speak an audio 30 seconds, you can't keep everything in your mind. You have to develop a habit of taking notes. They are not going to check the notes that you have taken. It's simply for your preference, it's simply for your own needs, so that when you have got those notes written in front of you, and afterwards, when you get that time to solve your answer, you can refer to the notes that you have taken and then have a better chance of cracking those answers because you have got something to rely upon at least. So this is what you have to do for listening. Let's talk about reading, which is where a bit of challenge would lie. Now, when you read, reading as in reading a book, reading a magazine, reading newspaper, something like that, diverse reading, that's the keyword over here. Do not just read one thing every single day. Have a diverse reading habit, which means reading a range of materials, which includes newspapers, academic journals, novels to improve your reading skills and comprehension. Go to different websites like sciencedaily.com, npr.org, So many different scientific websites out there with so much different amount of words, different data that is available on those websites. Make sure you read thoroughly, make sure you read a diverse amount of content. That's extremely useful. And for your IELTS practice, again, we have to stick to the IELTS books, complete practice tests, and learn to manage your time effectively. Time management is the most crucial aspect. In total, in reading, you do get 60 minutes, and in that, you would be given three paragraphs, three different questions. And those questions will have sub questions like true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, multiple choice questions, so many different fill in the blank, so many different varieties of questions. So, all you have to make sure is when you practice using those Cambridge books for IELTS reading, time management has to be the most crucial aspect. Make sure when you read it out, when you read your questions, you have to put a clock or a timer alongside you so that you have a habit of completing one paragraph in 20 minutes and the complete IELTS reading test in 60 minutes. Because if you can't complete the IELTS reading in 60 minutes, there's no point of you getting the right answers because they never give you more than 60 minutes anyway. And in terms of your strategies for your reading, these are three things that you have to work on. Skimming and scanning is the most important because you would be given some long paragraphs. So a skim and scan is going to definitely help you where you take less time but you read more amount of data. And then identifying the main ideas and details because that's what most of the questions will be asking from you to identify what is your main information that you need to get from the question, from the paragraph, and on the basis of that you would be able to solve majority of the questions. So these are few things that you can do while practicing for your reading. Now, once listening and reading is done, next we are going to talk about writing. Speaking, I prefer always to do at the very end. Once your brain is all fried and you're already mentally drained, then you can do speaking because that is something interesting for you to do. But writing is something which we should be doing just after finishing our reading. Now, there's two tasks as we discussed earlier. Task one would be practicing summarizing information from charts, graphs, and diagrams. So all these are part of your academic. And if you're giving IELTS General, then you would be getting some letters. Now, what you have to do is you have to focus on clear and concise descriptions. Now, what does that mean? When you get those questions, do not just pick every single piece of information from that graph or from diagram or something. You have to pick some important keywords, important information only. If they are talking about 10 different cities, you can't mention 10 different cities because you've got a word limit of 150 words, at least 150 words. So you can't really type or write 300 words. So what you have to do is if they give you 10 cities and data of those 10 cities, you just have to pick two or three with the most significant information. If something is the highest, I'll pick that. If something is the lowest, I'll pick that. If something is in the middle, I'll pick that. So something which is important from the question. And task two, which is the most challenging one for everyone out there, which is your IELTS essay, and that is going to be similar for academic and general both. Now, writing essays on various topics, do not memorize the answers. That's absolutely a wrong habit. You have to make sure you type or write essays on a daily basis, depending on what type of exam you're going to give. If you're giving computerized exam, then you have to type the essays. If you're giving a paper-based exam, you have to write the essays on different set of topics. Then focusing on structuring your essay, developing arguments, and using a range of vocabulary and grammar. So always have a dictionary with you or Google so that you can try to use different set of words on a daily basis, and whatever new words you come across, make sure you jot that down in some separate notebook so that you can compile a list of newly learned words, and couple of days prior to your exam you can start revising those words so that when you end up getting a different topic essay in the exam you can actually use those words. And then in terms of feedback, extremely important. If you do not know how you're performing in the essay, there's no point of you typing so many essays because you do not even know what would happen if you do the same thing in the exam. So you need to have an instructor who actually knows what's going on, who can check your essays and then give you a detailed feedback on what mistakes did you do, what was the correct way of doing it, what to improve, how to improve, and what band score would you get if you do that in the real exam. So all those things, if you're already enrolled somewhere, feel free to ask your teachers to get that feedback for your essay, which is the most important, or you can even contact us on Instagram or Facebook, or even just sending your essays on email, and we can even work out with you and discuss the essays with you. How well have you performed in them? And we can give you a proper constructive feedback on your essay as to what went wrong, what went right, what band score can you expect. All those detailed breakdown of your essay, we can do that for you as well. Simply flick us an email. The email address would be there in the description box, and we can check your essays as well. Next, and this is the final one, which is for your speaking. Now, speaking, again, I will be giving you three different things. First thing is, how do we practice speaking in our day-to-day life? So all you have to do is, because it's all about speaking now, we have to engage in regular conversations with native speakers or advanced learners. If you have got a friend or someone who you can conversate with on a daily basis, try to speak in English with them on a daily basis, and try to use different vocabulary, different phrases, complex sentences with them. And if even if you speak with them in your own language on a daily basis, just for the sake of this exam, convince them if you can speak in English with them for the rest of the period. That is going to make a massive difference, because when you talk to your friends on a daily basis, you're definitely going to talk about something different. And when you talk about something different, you would be using different set of words every single day. And that's the best possible practical advice I can give you in order for you to improve your speaking. Now, when you sit for your IELTS practice, what do you do for your IELTS speaking? You practice the most common IELTS speaking topics, most common IELTS speaking cue cards. You can simply Google them. There's so many of those exam questions out there. Use those exact topics to practice. And then record yourself to evaluate your fluency and pronunciation. Record your audio, record your video, whatever you're comfortable with. And then on the basis of that, listen to your answer and see how well did you perform in that. And another thing, you can do it with us too. You can simply send your audio or video recordings to us on email, which is again in the description. We can also check your audios, check your videos to give you a proper constructive feedback of how did you do and what scores can you expect in the real exam. A proper constructive feedback. It's a paid service, but you can just reach out to us on our email, and we are more than happy to help you as well for the same. And in terms of fluency and coherence, focus on speaking clearly. That's the most important thing. It's not about speed, it's about speaking clearly. Clarity is the most important factor in your speaking. And you have to practice answering questions spontaneously. Again, do not memorize the answers. The moment you come across a question on Google, simply start speaking the answer for that one straight away. Do not wait for, or do not Google the answers, or do not think or take notes or anything. Have a habit of speaking instantly. That will do wonders for your speaking, because you are thinking on the spot, creating sentences on the spot, answering on the spot. Now, this was the breakdown of all the 4 modules of what needs to be done. Few more things before your exam. Once you have practiced enough for a month or 2 months or so on, one final thing you do is you review and improve. And this is when you have to do a lot of practice tests, which will determine where you are currently and how much time do you actually need to improve for the same. So what you do is you do something with what we call as error analysis. You regularly review your mistakes in practice tests and understand why you made them. It's very important for you to obviously know what mistakes you made, but it's even more important for you to know why you made those mistakes. Like, what was your reasoning behind making those mistakes? Why didn't you do it this way, but why did you do it that way? Understanding your mistakes, reasons for making mistakes. Once you have done that, that's when you start getting feedback from your teachers to see, okay, why did you make these mistakes? And then getting a proper study plan from them. If, let's say, you were struggling a lot in IELTS writing task 2 and IELTS task 1 writing, you were doing great, my study plan would change slightly, where I would be giving more time towards my IELTS task 2 writing versus giving more time towards my task 1, because I'm doing great in that. I'll reduce the time in there, but I'm not doing great in essay. I will increase my time in there. So you have to amend your study plan a bit on the basis of your own performance. Once you have done review and improvement for, let's say, another couple of weeks, that's when the final preparation will come into play, where I would not be giving section-wise tests, but now I would start doing full-length exams, a complete exam of all the 4 sections: listening, writing, reading, and speaking. So what I would be doing is I'll be taking few full-length practice tests, again from Cambridge books, under timed conditions. to simulate your exam experience. That is very important. When you have a proper timer, a proper clock in place, that's when you actually improve and get ready for the exam. Because ultimately in the exam, you not just have to perform well, you also have to make sure you finish everything in time. So that's very important. And one final thing is on your exam day, so what you do is for your preparation, you have to make sure where the test center is and what to bring. So make sure you're all organized, and the mindset, which is the positive mindset, which is the most important. You have to stay calm and confident. Yes, follow the instructions carefully and manage your time efficiently during the test. Time management, I can't stress that enough. Most important aspect of your exam. Guys, this is what I wanted to share in this particular video. Make sure you take some good notes, watch this video again and again, and understand what plan to follow. And I can definitely assure you, you would be able to get that band-aid that you all are aiming for. Guys, all the best if you have quarter exams coming soon. Stay safe wherever you are, and I will see you all in the next video.